Today we have like over 7,000 people using it. Over 80% of them had come in just through word of mouth.
You studied microbiology at the university. Now I want to help people to start saving money so that they can hit their financial goals. How did that go for you?
When we developed it,
Talk to me about the interest rates.
it's 3.5% per annum. For a young person like me, who's, let's say, has rent to pay every 6 months. Let's say my rent is like 500K and I'm making 100K every month. My youthful nature generally permits me to want to spend. You shouldn't be waiting for that big check before you try to save.
A lot of people struggle with this. But how do you think I can build that financial discipline?
It's always good to live below your means. Like whenever you get any income, split it into three. Take 50% of it, spend it on the things that you need in life. 30% you spend on the stuff that you want for yourself. The remainder 20% saved up somewhere. And you want people to have a situation where they're able to go after the things that they want. The problem that they finish is it's because we are always like trying to step up our life relative to how much we need, which is not really the best thing in the long run because.
What's up, my smart friend? Before you jump straight into this episode, there are 3 boxes I'd love you to check while you watch. First things first, please make sure to hit the subscribe or the follow button down below because the more we grow, the bigger guests we can approach on this platform and the more value we can bring to you here on the podcast. Second, a lot of friends always reach out to me and say something like, "Hey, Arrey, I really did enjoy this particular segment of this episode." What I want you to do, if you get to a point like that, pick up your phone and send this to a friend and say, "Hey, check this out between 10 to 15 minutes. There's something very important I'd love you to see." Number 3, please make sure to check out the links in the description for very helpful resources. You're going to find the link to join the Smart Club, which is my private mentorship club for friends who want to learn and master a high-income digital marketing skill. Whether your goal is to build your personal brand, become a freelancer, or get a job in digital marketing, the Smart Club is going to be the right place for you. Also, you're going to find the link to join our 21,000 Smart Friends on email, where you're going to receive an email from me once every week. Plus, down below, you're also going to see links to connect with the guest. So please make sure you tick those 3 boxes and enjoy the rest of this episode.
I wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast, and I wanted you to at least kick this off by introducing yourself to my audience.
Okay, my name is Akwo. I'm a startup entrepreneur, passionate about using technology to solve some of the problems that Africa faces today. One of those things I'm really just enthusiastic about solving today is access to finance, building financial resilience, and I'm doing so with the product Nkwa.
Right. One of the things I was very interested to talk to you about was just finance in general, because a lot of people struggle with this. And we're going to talk about the platform you've built and how you're helping thousands of people just around Africa. But first, I wanted to circle a bit back. What was your earliest introduction to business like? Because I went a bit over your profile, realized you studied microbiology at the university and then even developed a health consultation app. But it's surprising that someone who studies microbiology moves on to become a tech. I would call it a tech entrepreneur. So talk to me about those early business days and what was it like for you?
I would say my first introduction to business is probably like 2012 or something, because that's when the whole ideas of creating a health app came up. It couldn't have been any time earlier than that because I actually, the one subject that I failed in the ordinary level was economics. So it couldn't have been anything. It couldn't have been anything less than 2012. Yeah. But in 2012, I witnessed an incident in a bus where I just saw how these guys that enter and sell medicines, like these traditional medicines, they sell to people. And like I noticed that a lot of people actually went to this stop and they're buying and would even say, "Hey, you can taste the medicine here to see if it works." And people will show their hands and and people are testing and stuff. And I'm like, but what if this stuff is fake? What if it's expired?
Right.
I mean that's very risky situation. And I was just stuck in my mind thinking about that, and then at some point in time later discussing with my sister who studied engineering. She was like, "But why don't you do something about this? Why don't you use technology to just give people the right access to information and things like that?" And yeah, that's how we came up with an idea to start a mobile app that people could use and just verify traditional medicines that were sold in buses, like what were their authenticity or whether they were expired or not and things like that.
How did that go for you? You starting the app, and I would assume as someone who is just, from a microbiologist to you starting an app, how did that startup work for you?
Through this, it was very far from what we actually imagined, because I mean, I wasn't a computer engineer or anything like that, so I had to look for someone that was a computer engineer. And luckily enough, I had a friend that we had been in the same boarding school for like 7 years, and then we're still like very close in universities. And he was studying computer engineering, so I was like, bro, there's this cool thing that we could do, and we're all like very fascinated about IT, technology, or anything computer related. We're the ones that were always trying to go to the computer lab and just go and sit there staring at computers or playing solitaire and things like that. So yeah, I hit him up, and then I was like, let's do this, and he was super interested and excited to do. And so we started. But the funny thing is, like, even him at that time really did not have those skills to start building
Mm.
mobile applications. So we decided to take an easier path while still just staying same line, because when the whole idea of the app came up, we first started researching on how we could get it done, and then we realized that there are a couple of technologies that needed to be mastered in order to do it. And it might be something very difficult to do now, considering that we don't have those skills yet. But what it opened us to was the fact that there were a lot of other things that were happening around and that people were using technology to
Yeah.
solve. And some of these things, people were not necessarily using technology that they had built. There's this thing that you call open source projects. So they'll use like open source projects on the internet, like stuff that's already been built. You just need to take it, customize, and then use.
Mhm.
So they'll use things like that and then build. And so like, okay, if we cannot build this app now, because we don't master the skill yet, can we do at least something else related with some open source technology? And that's how we now just started flipping around. We create mobile health platforms to monitor pregnant women in the hospital, or electronic medical record systems to help hospitals like, I mean, Regional Hospital Bamenda, Regional Hospital
Mhm.
Limbe, Regional Hospital Boya, so this thing, to manage their patient records, things like that. So yeah, we just
Yeah.
started on that line trying to build health technology software for hospitals or patients to use.
Right. Love it. So I have a mentorship club for digital marketing called the Smart Club. And one of the things I always say to the members we have at the club is that one thing always leads to another. So for me, when I started out, I think earlier on, I created a platform to actually sell newspapers, which flopped.
Yeah.
So
You
I
created
went
what?
out
Sorry, I missed you on that.
the platform. So
Uh-huh.
the idea is we wanted to sell newspapers because at the time I was studying journalism and mass communication. I had been writing for newspapers, magazines, and then I'm thinking, but there's really no online platform that sells these newspapers. What if I create something? So I go out, get someone, develop something, and then I literally moved from office to office. The Rambler, the Post, the Guardian Post, went to Douala, went to Yaoundé, created a partnership with
Cameroon.
all of this all over Cameroon Tribune, everywhere, created a partnership, and then came back home, sat down, just built the thing, and actually launched it. I did even a media tour, CRTV, Canal Day, went to Yaoundé, came, spent, I think that's when I made like my first million, I think. So I was deciding to put that little money into the project. But long story short, it flopped. We struggled the second time. It
So
didn't
sorry about
work
that.
out well. But here's the thing: when I struggled to even revamp the project about one or two times and it couldn't go, I sit down and I'm asking myself, but what's the reason why this is failing? And then I realized part of it is I even have no idea about even just building a website and what it looks like. So I have no control over the process. I have no control over even just marketing it properly. Then I go, now I have to learn marketing. Now I have to learn how to at least build a website on WordPress because a bunch of people will say to me, hey, Arrey, I tried buying and it's not going. And then one time I almost got locked up because the publishers are like, Arrey, we're uploading the newspaper to your platform. It's been a month right now. You're not giving us feedback on how much we have sold. But I'm not making the sales. And then when I call with the guy who built the website for me, he's like, Arrey, we don't know what's happening. Or Arrey, I'll check it out. And he does not check it out immediately. But it just reminded me of that story because here's the thing. Most of the things I tried then didn't work. But later on, a lot of the things started to compound on each other, right? When I would learn how to do marketing properly, I'm like, oh, now I can market other things. Now today I could literally sit down and I sell a product of 500,000, people will buy it. But because I started out sitting there and I was like, this particular thing failed. And then I went back, okay, let me learn how to build WordPress. I literally learned how to build WordPress websites, I think in 2 weeks. And then I built my own website, ARREYB.com, built it myself. And since then, built like 17 plus websites. It's not even my main thing that I do. But if I have to delegate right now within my team, you don't build me a website that's really good. I'll go, no, look, you're not put this very well. This template is not good. This is not
Yep.
okay. All because I did it and I failed. So that just reminded me of something. I think it's just a big lesson that, so thank you for really sharing that. Let's fast forward to Nkwa. When does it dawn on you? Okay, now we are going to create Nkwa. And how do
I
you
think I
first
think
come about that plan?
I think just before we skip to your next question, I
Mhm.
think it's very important to highlight the aspect that you're able to be all of what you're now and build probably better websites or sell products of over 500K because you actually failed with the newspaper.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, if you never failed with that newspaper, you'd probably not be able to do what you're able to do
Sure.
now.
Sure.
So actually failing with the newspaper was a huge success.
Yeah.
And I think that's a misconception that we usually have here, where either we don't want to fail, or the people that are probably working with you are probably investing in you don't want, like they're trying to just make sure that whatever it is that you have to do, you just have to do it, forgetting the fact that there's huge lessons that you get when you fail, and it's only after failing that you're able to do stuff right. So if you want an iPhone 15, you have to start from an iPhone 3GS that was bugging like crazy. Just wanted to highlight that
Yeah.
because I shared similar story as well. I mean, right up from like 2013, right up to like 2019, most of the things that we built would hardly sell because we were still in the whole mindset of, you see this thing that is done in the West and you're excited about it and you're like, you want to replicate. It's true that you're like, you want to replicate the same solution here, and you're thinking like, well, the same problem that those guys face there is the same thing that we face here, so let's just build the same thing. But you
Mm.
forget to bring in context and stuff, and because of that, a lot of failures. But it's that constant failure that leads you to realize that, hey, this thing like this, it's not copy and paste too.
Yeah.
There needs to be
Need to
context
figure out.
added to it. There are a lot of other things at play. So yeah, um, it's just glad listening to your story.
Mhm.
Sorry, let's
Mhm.
go to your question that you
No,
asked.
no, true. I mean, I'm down to take that's why I love this podcast, because to be honest, the things that people learn from it could be from anywhere. There might be somebody watching this and is going, but I've failed in this, but I've just failed in this. But yeah, that's the process, because one thing leads to another. And because you fail
Yeah,
in those things helps you to even, oh, you figure out this is not how to do it. Now I need to go this way. And then now, if you sometimes, I mean, I'm sure you get that a lot. Somebody comes to you with this brilliant idea and they're really explaining it. They're pumping. They're like, oh, we're going to do it like this. And then we get 500 francs, 500,000 cash. And then within 1 year, we'll make this. And you just watch, you're like, yeah, I've been there.
you're like Mike Tyson. You come with the plan, and then you get, once you get punched in the face, something like that. But yeah, you coined it all. One thing leads to another. That's
Yeah.
it. Just always to
So,
stay in that flow, and
yeah.
you
So
probably
it's
get
okay to fail as long as you're learning the lessons on the way and you are using that to improve yourself. Talk to me about
exactly.
how did you, let's go from the idea conception. How do you go now? I want to help people to start saving money so that they can hit their financial goals.
It's a very mixed story. It's me going back to my village at some point in time, let's say like 2019, and then witnessing my junior cousin break open a wooden bank, something like this. Um,
Right. I had that.
with a lot of cash inside, and I was stunned. I was surprised that this was very much still a thing, and a guy like him would still be doing an activity like that. I was very incentivized to want to adopt something like that, especially for myself, considering that I found it difficult to achieve some goals sometimes because, I mean, when the money is there, when it's easily available to you, it's easy to spend. When the whole idea came up, we were still working on the health product, right? And one thing that we have noticed, is especially as experience started playing in with the health products we're building, instead of just copying stuff from the West, like I was saying, and pasting here, we realized that you want to first of all interview people, question them, and find out what is the problem that they face before you try to solve it.
I
And
love
so
it.
one
Yeah.
thing that
I
we
read
had
somewhere.
noticed,
I read somewhere you said you had to go out and quiz people, about 500 people, and say, hey, would it be down to manage money using a platform? Or if, I mean, what would it look like? You said, I think you interviewed about, you quizzed about 500 people.
yeah, I think it was like 500 to 600. But that's not even, that's like way ahead, because even before we got to that stage, we first were just trying to build something for health. Remember, we're still working on the health products at that time. And
Mhm.
like I was saying, one of the issues that we had found out with interviewing patients is that most of them could not afford healthcare. It was the reason why people will not even seek appropriate healthcare. It's the reason why people will go for traditional medicines. The reason why people will not come to the hospitals. You see, so when the whole idea um, of this thing of using a wooden bank to be disciplined in your savings happened to me, something that really made sense to me was, what if people could actually block money, let's say for future sicknesses that you face? Because
Mhm.
especially me at the time in Boya, like months like May, June, July, August, when there's a lot of rain, it's a month filled with malaria, like a lot of mosquitoes, and you catch malaria, but you've spent all of the money that your parents had given you, and you cannot buy medicine. So you end up maybe drinking paracetamol until you hope that it gets out of you, or I don't know, you start mixing leaves. But what if you had some money that you had locked somewhere that was just specifically for when you're sick, and then you can use this money and pay up for your bills? And like that was for us, that was our initial application of some digital kind of wooden bank which you could use up to save up for important needs that you don't want to have already spent the money. Um, yeah, but one thing we realized along the line was healthcare was a thing that, first of all, this was a digital thing, and in order for it to really go sync, it's only young people that would use it. You get, I mean, old people will not be interested in digital product. But then young people are not interested in health things as well, because by their youthful nature, they're usually healthy, they're not very sick for long and things like that. So you even trying to create a savings product specifically for health, not very much people were interested. And so we just said, okay, well, let's open it to anything. Save up for
Mm.
anything. Be able to use the same discipline nature of this box, where when you put the coin into it,
You
you
don't take
cannot
it out.
remove it. Can you use that same discipline nature and maybe save up for things like your rents, for things like I don't know, your food, for things like buying a sofa in your house, or I don't know, like any financial goal that really matters to you, that you know very much that if you had this money and you're probably keeping in I don't know, a wallet that was easily accessible to you, you'd probably spend it back. So you want to keep it somewhere that is a little bit difficult for you to access, so that you can really just focus on achieving the end goal that you have set. And yeah,
Right.
that's how we got to Nkwa. And yeah, we went ahead and we interviewed a lot of people, like over 500 in the span of a week. I had some very good friends and relatives that helped with that. And we wanted to really just vouch whether this would be something that we would be interested in using. And a very good number of them showed interest, but like they say with Cameroonian surveys, take the result with a pinch of salt.
Right.
So
Let's circle a bit back to the start. You create, so you finally interview these people, you quiz them with a survey, and you go. Now there is the demand for it because that's a proof of market. You've just
mhm.
really understand that people need this. The process of you starting up, what does it look like? Do you have to go knocking on doors? Hey, there's this app. I want you to download this. Or what does that process look like for you to start getting your first people into using the platform?
I think what we really did is just we just pushed it among our friends, and that's like I mentioned, this is where you start seeing the experience applying, because what
True.
happened is when we developed it, we started pushing it to our friends that, hey, we built this thing that
Mhm.
we're using to do this and that. Try it. That's how people started trying. And then at the time, we were fortunate because mobile money APIs, what you use to collect payments or disperse payments in your sites, they're still new. You get, so
Mhm.
MTN mobile money would give like, they're doing a bonus where for any transaction that you make through a mobile money API,
Mhm.
they're going to give you the same value of that transaction back as airtime. So
Mhm.
if you transacted, let's say 100,000 over an API, they're going to give you back 100,000 in airtime for like 2 days to use. You get, and at the time we were integrating their mobile money API, so people kind of first of all bought the whole idea of this thing could help them save, but what really just pushed them to discover it, to using it more again is like, well, even when I save, I get I get my money back in the form of airtime, and it was a huge incentive, and so a lot of our friends just started using it, and there we did not have to do a lot of work, because now the thing started spreading like COVID. Like one
Mm.
person picks it from this room, and
I like the
then it
description, like
goes.
COVID.
Yeah, like one person comes here, they come and find out about this thing, then they go to another room of other people, and they're like, there's this thing that I'm using, like this cool like this, so you should try it. And like today, like over 70 to 80% is true that we've started doing some form of marketing, but before like September 2023, when we had over like 20,000 customers, over 80% of them had come in just through word of mouth, like referrals from other customers telling them, hey, there's this cool app I'm using. It helps me stay disciplined with money, helps me achieve financial goals. You should try it out. I mean, it's a common problem that we all face as young people. When there's money in your pocket, you want to spend it.
Mm.
So to find this place that really just helps you keep that money and not just spend it all, and instead focus on the things that you really want to accomplish, it's always
Right.
a good thing.
Yeah, speaking, there's a lot of things that just pumping into my head. I hope that I remember to talk about them. Today, you say over 20,000 people using it.
No, that was in September 2023. Today we have like over 27,000 people using, so
Oh,
close to about 30,000. You can see on our banner it's even 25,000, but that was done like in January or something.
right.
So,
Talk to me about some of those challenges when you're building. I mean, I could list 1,000 of them when you're building anything tech in Cameroon. What are some of those challenges and how did you get over them?
um, the first thing is access to the skill. I mean, like you hear from the story, like the first problem that we encountered trying to build.
Before you continue to watch the rest of this episode, here's what I want you to say.
If I am to rate Smart Club, I'm going to rate it a 9.5 on 10. I'm only taking that 0.5 because perfection leaves no room for development.
He's known for his expertise and innovative problem-solving skills.
Arrey is so practical at what he does.
Hello, this is Flora from the Smart Club.
I joined the Smart Club because I wanted to acquire more skills.
I wanted to acquire more knowledge and skills.
The Smart Club gives you an opportunity to have a one-on-one talk with ARREYB.
It is very innovative.
I have an agile way of thinking now.
We learned a lot, becoming T-shaped, content creation.
These are friends who joined the Smart Club and have been building the skills with us for the last couple of years. Maybe you're asking yourself right now, Arrey, what's Smart Club all about? The Smart Club is my private mentorship club that I build for friends who want to master a high-income digital marketing skill. Whether your goal is to build your personal brand, become a freelancer, or you want to get a job in digital marketing, the Smart Club is the right place for you. Registration has officially opened for the next batch of students. If this sounds like something that you'll be interested in, please don't hesitate to check out the link in the description and join us and build your digital marketing skill.
The app to verify traditional methods because we do not have the skills in building mobile app. And it's still a problem today because even if you find people that can build mobile apps, you don't find people that are very detailed about, like people that can build products that are robust and things like that. That's a huge difficulty. And when you find these people, I mean, obviously there are few people that have the skill, but when you find them, it's usually not cheap. Like they're super expensive. In fact, you cannot afford to pay them because they're either already hired by a multinational or some foreign company, and they're paid in like thousands of foreign currencies, and don't be afraid to call dollars. So you can't compete with that. And that takes you now to the next problem, which is access to resources to actually build. I mean, after you build the app, what happens? We're usually stuck in this mindset of build and people will come and use, but that's rarely the case, even for things that would spread by word of mouth, because there's a part in which every new thing faces. You have the early adopters and then laggers, and then people start gradually adopting and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd have those initial users that are usually fanatics for particular sets of product, but after a time, if you don't educate like the large population on why they need to try out this product or what's the benefit of something like this, then you'll still just be stuck with your early adopters and stuff. So you need to start marketing, you need to start selling, you need to mount a team in different directions to really just make sure that the product is delivering what it's promising. And all of those require cash. But apart from cash, you also need like mentorship. You need someone that has experience in that domain so that if you're lucky enough and you get the cash, you don't waste it because trust me, it's like having the cash is almost it's luck. It's like huge luck, especially from this part of Africa. So if you have it, you don't want to waste that opportunity. It's like once in a lifetime opportunity. So you need people that can tell you that hey, when you're stuck in this kind of problem, this is what you should do, this is what you should do. But we have very few of those kind of people. You get like Cameroon is not that environment where we've had a lot of tech entrepreneurs. I mean, we have business people that have made it, started by pushing trucks and stuff, but no one has really made it from starting up a technological company and making it
Not many.
like very big and stuff. So yeah, there are not a lot of people to talk to, and that now even leads now to the other mindset of family and the people around you, because when you're doing all of this stuff, obviously you're leaving some other thing that they had planned for you, like hey, you're going to become this medical doctor, hey, you're going to
They don't
enter
even
into
see the
this.
future in it.
They don't see it, they don't believe you. So it's almost like all of what you're doing is disobedience, and worse than that, like we've got called like worse names worse than that.
Yeah.
And that's very helpful because the number one place where support should be coming from is your family. But if your family doesn't believe or support you, like it's not going to be easy. It's only a matter of time until you quit. And this is not one of those things where success is like very fast. It's one of those things that needs persist. I mean, look at how long we've been into this stuff and see only when we've even trying to like make success. You get it's almost like over 10 years or something. Imagine having to keep hoping and hoping in 10 years with a family that's not supporting.
Yeah.
Which I should point out that that wasn't the case for me entirely. It's true that I have some of my family members that don't completely believe that, I'm getting into this line of life. It's the best thing to do. But I also had other people, or even the people that didn't believe, like they're still very supportive in life, or even in access to cash and other things that just help me to stay there, help my team to stay out there and keep building until we got to where we are today. So yeah, if I could point them, mentorship, access to skill, access to cash, and mindset.
I mean, absolutely. I love how you lay them down gradually because it's kind of one thing leads to another. If you don't have the money, you can't hire the better skill. And then even the bigger issue, sometimes it comes down to team. You hire your team member, and then when you finally find the person who knows his thing, they come and they can't be committed to the process. And then you need to keep having a word with them and you're recasting the vision. Here's where we're going. Here's what's happening. So
Right.
one hell of a job.
I need someone to be able to do the job. Then now they're like, I'm too big for this stuff.
Exactly.
Let's find another place and leave, and you start from scratch. It's hell. There's nothing funny about entrepreneurship.
What do you say is your number one marketing channel right now? How is that working for you?
It's leveraging on influencers. Initially, like I mentioned, before September, because that's when we really just started getting into like intentional marketing. But before that, our number one marketing channel was word of mouth, was existing customers just referring the app to other people. But we wanted to grow faster than that. At that time, we're probably doing like 500 to 800 signups a month. But we saw that we could do more than that because of how much value we thought we were bringing in the lives of people. And I mean, when you have the good news, you need to go out there and evangelize to as many people as possible. So we tried several things, and one thing that really worked is be able to let the message come from people that already have huge following in the community. Because first of all, you would have the exposure, And then second, if it's coming from this person, then maybe we should try it out. And yeah, we did that, and it has been working. Not bad.
When I put my money in Nkwa, why should I want to put my money in Nkwa over leaving that in the bank?
For two reasons, but you should know that Nkwa doesn't replace your bank. You get.
Okay.
So I want to think of the Nkwa app as something that adds value to the whole financial system, to a bank account or to a mobile money wallet or to your wallet that you even use. But the thing is this, with your bank account, right, there's easy access. Like if you put money today in your bank account, you can go back tomorrow and you go and withdraw it. The only thing is you probably have to be paying monthly fees for using the account. You get. And for a young person like me, right, who's, let's say, has rent to pay every 6 months. If I'm making, let's say my rent is like 500K and I'm making 100K every month, my youthful nature generally permits me to want to spend, or incites me to want to spend. Like if I see the next cool shoe that's out there I want to buy, um, I want to go out with my friends, hang out. We want to just do things that always leads to money going out. We get, and so the ease, the easier access you have to your money would lead to you burning it all. You get. So when the money is in a place, like whether it's your bank account or it's in your wallet or it's under your mattress or it's in your shirt, as long as that money is somewhere where you can easily access it, you're going to spend it all. And when 6 months arrive and you have to pay your rent, you find that you have not saved up enough to pay up the rent. So you need to be able to keep that money somewhere where it's a little bit difficult for you to access. And it's difficult for a reason, right? It's like you punishing
It helps
yourself
you for the
that,
discipline. Yeah.
yeah. It's difficult for a reason. It's like you telling yourself that you're not going to you're going to stay up all night reading because you want to have an A grade in this course. You get. So you're making access to your money difficult because you know that staying in your house so much matters to you. You don't want all of the jazz from your landlord and all of that. So you're dedicating and saying that, hey, I want to keep my money somewhere where I know that if I come back to access it, these guys are going to tell me, hey, this was not the plan. You planned that you're going to save up 500K in 4 months' time to use it and pay for rent. So if you come back in less than 4 months' time and you've not saved up to 500K and you're like, give me my money, it's against our deal and you're going to be penalized for that.
When I put
What
the money
actually,
at the time, if I have to take the money out of that saving pot, let me call it a pot, before the due time, you get restricted, you get penalized. Well, in a nice, you get some deductions for it because you're going against the agreement. So that way, people are more disciplined to say, now I put this here and the deal is 4 months. I have to wait till 4 months time. That's what you're saying.
yeah, the deal is 4 months, 500K. So even if you reach 500K and you haven't reached 4 months and you're trying to get the cash, you're breaking the deal. You need to stick to that. And the good thing is you have interest that is adding on the money. So it's not like your money just lying there somewhere idling and no real value is adding to it. But yeah, the whole value is that it keeps you like it gives you that visual overview around the things that you want to accomplish for yourself, and it guarantees you a future that is free of certain disturbances, maybe the fear of getting out of your house, because in this case you have that money saved up somewhere and when the time arrives you're going to pay.
Talk to me about the interest rates. What do they look like?
It's 3.5% per annum and it's calculated on a daily basis. So if you save money on the app today and you wake up tomorrow morning, you would see how much interest has added to it. So it's basically the 3.5% divided by 360 days, and that amount is multiplied to whatever is in your account per that day, and then it's added. So if you meet your saving goal and you meet your duration, then you get all of the interest. But if you go in discipline, added to the fact that you get penalized, you're going to lose all the interest.
Right. But if you put your money, so when you put your money, that's the time you are setting your period. Is there a minimum period to say, oh, look, when you put this money, it must be, let's say, 3 months, it must be 4
The
months, it must
minimum
be
period is 1 month.
1 month.
So it's very flexible. We know that as young people, we don't like to stay away from our money for too long. So 1 month, at least use that to plan up for what you want to achieve for yourself, and then work towards that. And
Right.
3.5% is higher than what is averagely done in the market. Most banks do like 2.4, 2.7 maximum percent per annum. So we're doing 3.5. And we can afford to do that because we have less overhead costs, right? A bank has to set up office branches, has to pay for air conditioning in these branches, has to employ people, has to do this and that. But we don't have to do all of that. We built the app, we've hosted it in the cloud, well protected, well secured, very little bugs on it. And we can just sit in one office and manage everything for the entire Cameroon. So obviously we're spending less, so we should afford to give you more in interest.
So what you're saying is, now this is me from my little mafia mind. Does that mean that if I put money and I'm trying to take it out, let's say that, yeah, let me say I put 10,000 francs. And with that 10,000 francs, hypothetically, I'm trying to make 3.5%. And my target is probably a month. So if every month I'm only putting 10,000 francs, looking at 3.5%, and a case where somebody just goes, instead of me putting every month 10,000 francs, I'll just put 1.2 million. I'll just put 120,000 for a year. Are there any benefits as per how, considering the long term?
Like I mentioned, the interest is calculated on a daily basis, right? The earlier you have as much money, if your goal is, if what you're chasing is interest, because I should warn you, the value of our app is not in the interest that we offer to people. It's the
Okay.
ability to achieve goals. It's the
Interesting.
ability to do things that you want,
But you help
to
people with interest
control how you
anyway.
spend
Yeah.
money. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not in interest. Is just it's just something to keep your money working to build up some stuff. But yeah, if your focus is really on interest, then you want to get as much money into the app early on as possible because, like I mentioned, it's 3.5% per annum. So it's 3.5 divided by 12 months. So in month one, you'd have that answer multiplied to what you have in your account today. If you have 100,000, the interest that is going to add is going to be different if you had 500,000. So if you're adding 100,000 every month, it means that it's only in the future months that you'll be able to get the value of, let's say, the 1.2 million if you had to have added 120,000 for over 10 months, compared to if you put 120,000 on day one and you just let it go.
Interesting. Yeah. Most of the times I will ask questions a little like I said to you at the beginning, I'll ask questions like I'm a 5-year-old because I think that when I just ask from that genuine curiosity and then you realize people just go, oh, Arrey, those were very helpful questions. And they were the same things that I was asking in my mind. So that's why
Yeah.
I just voice out that way. Have you had any time where people talk about the race issues of, hey, why should we trust it, the security and the rest? And what would your answer be to that around the
Always.
security?
Always. In fact, you should ask about that, considering that it's something that is hanging on the internet, and then there's all of these issues around crypto apps or around products crashing. Like, I don't know, how do they call it again? These pyramid schemes where people come and say,
Network marketing, yes, multi-level marketing.
yeah, network marketing, I think is the word. So there's all of these things, and people are scared, and it's a normal worry, which is why we usually encourage people to start small. Don't get into it with all of your money. Take your time and understand the product. We had people that started in year one saving like maybe maximum 10,000 a year, and then now they're saving like 1 million, 5 million in the app. But security wise, the app is as secured as your MTN mobile money wallet or your Orange mobile money wallet. So it's the same security. The reason being that what we are doing is we got into partnerships with these guys and they gave us access to their APIs, their mobile money APIs. So when you save on Nkwa, you save through mobile money arrangement. When you're withdrawing through mobile money arrangement. So what happens is when you save, the money is actually just transferred from your personal account into a business mobile money account. And that even has like way more security than the normal account, you see. So everything is still just protected by this security from this business account. And The only place where security is going to be undermined is relative to you, like how much access you give to strangers on your phone. That's why something that we did in the mobile app is implementing two-factor authentication,
Authentication.
where apart from just logging in with the password, with your username and password, there's also this thing which you set up, which we call a PIN. It's a 4-digit code that for any critical action in the app, maybe withdrawing money or adding a new wallet into the app and things like that, for every of those kinds of critical action, for breaking a saving goal, for any of those kinds of critical action, you need to input that PIN. So you realize that someone will need to have. So if your account actually ever gets compromised, it means the person first of all had access to your password, to your login, your username, and then your password, and
But
then
also the contact details through the
yeah,
authentication.
yeah, and then they still got now password. They still got access to your PIN. So that's really this. It's really on your own side that you really need to try to protect that information as much as possible. And
Right.
yeah, if you do that, then you're safe.
Yeah.
It's okay.
A trivial question I want to ask you, and you might choose to answer it or not, but depend based on how you look at it. A lot of people will ask and say, but Mr. Akwo, what does it look like? You're asking me to put money in an app, and then later on you're going to give me a profit. So on the flip side of it, what does Nkwa do to get interest on that money until they're able to give me? And the reason why I raise this is because a couple years, no, not up to a year, but anyway, a couple months back, I lost money, right? And I can tell you, like, I'm not ashamed to say that I've shared it online. I lost over 10 million in something that I put. Well, me and my friend lost 10 million. I put 5 million. He put 5 million. I cost him to put the 5
You
million, which I
dragged him
felt,
into
I'm
this.
telling you, which I felt, you can
How did
imagine
you
I felt
feel?
so bad,
I'm sure you're haunted.
so bad. The good thing is that's my best friend. And
Yeah.
we all knew our risk level, that if you lose that money, it's not like your life has ended. So at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, nobody ever wants to lose money. If you want lost anything, that kind of, even my 1 franc, I don't want to lose it. But it still pains me that I lost that kind of money. And the reason why I'm asking is, okay, so Nkwa is asking me to put money, you're going to give me profits at the end of the year. What does Nkwa do with my money on the back since? And what
Very
would,
good question.
yeah.
In the start, what we did is the interest that we paid out to people was basically a recycle of the fees that people pay when they break their saving goals. So let's say you have Arrey, who is a disciplined saver, and you have Akwo, who is an indisciplined saver. If I put my saving goal and the break plan fee was like 2% or 5% if I try to break, when I break and lose the 5%, it's literally that money that is recycled and then it's paid back to people as interest. And then with time, what we did is we realized that we're getting huge volumes of cash, and this money was just lying idle in mobile money wallets. So we started getting to like very credible and secured banks and microfinances, and we would just open a savings account there. I would save a portion of this money, and it's going to earn interest, like very huge interest, because the money was huge and we're able to negotiate for higher rates. What we're trying to do now recently, which is why we got a category 1 microfinance license, is actually to get into the banking activity ourselves, be able to offer loans to people, be able to offer other financial services, but really just making sure that we're doing it in an efficient and risk-free manner, in such a way that we're always protecting customer savings, and we're always ensuring that they're able to get back whatever it is that they have saved in the app. So yeah, we incorporated as a category 1 microfinance license, and we're registered to Rainbow Cam, which is a microfinance for microfinances as stipulated by KUBAP, which is the regulator for banking activity in Central Africa. So being under this umbrella organization, we are supposed to follow up some certain norms and rules that just leads to efficient management of whatsoever it is that we're collecting from customers. And then added to that, this like quarterly controls and impromptu controls that the regulator has just put into place, either directly from the Ministry of Finance or through the umbrella organization, to still just make sure that if you have collected this amount of money from your customers, You're not putting it into anything that is going to jeopardize the availability of that money in the short or long run. Yeah.
Mm.
So um, that's a bit about how we're able to pay
Interesting.
interest to people
Interesting.
along the life of people.
Mm. Right. I think that's a good answer. And for those who are watching this anywhere,
For
will
those who are
Nkwa
watching
ever?
this, if you're a business owner
Yeah.
and you use Nkwa and
Mhm.
you've been using it like actively to save money, then and your business is thriving, then we'd like to talk to you to see how if capital is an issue for you in terms of scaling the business. We'd like to see how we could help with that
Right.
because we
That's
now have a license that permits us to do an activity like that.
the thing I like about this conversation is that we're talking about Nkwa, but in the process of talking about it, there's a lot that's coming up and even lessons that people can learn. So I just genuinely hope that for those who are watching this, there's still some nuggets around, even just building their own business, building their own thing, setting systems, structures, and all of that. I wanted to ask you the last thing, which I wanted to add before we transition into something else. Talk to me about the, I don't know, what would I term it? Is it insurance or is it guarantee if something happens and with people's monies, what's going to be the response around that?
Okay, very interesting question as well, which is what we always get asked. So, the number one insurance is the fact that we are registered through the regulator, which is back through our microfinance registration. Usually, the reason why there are controls and there are checks that are put in place is to just ensure that whatsoever you're collecting from people is not being mismanaged. But added to that, there are some like regulatory terms that require you to contribute a portion of your capital, that's the capital of the entity, through your umbrella organization, and you contribute this as share capital and you contribute this as solidarity fund. And the whole purpose of that is that should in case anything ever happens to this organization, at least there's something to fall back to. But usually you never really even get to that situation because usually what the government does is whenever an organization starts malperforming and it feels like it's not going to be able to stay alive if it continues in the path that is going, the government takes administration of the organization to protect the savings of the customers.
And the
So
clients,
the
yeah.
government will remove the managers of the organization and then put another manager there and then try to see how they can rebuild back whatsoever was failing. So some of these mechanisms are some of the things that are really just been set in place. Today, there's really no like whatsoever bank or microfinance. There's no like clear insurance scheme that says that, hey, if this bank goes up today, you can go back to this entity and can get that. We don't have that. You have that in the US. You have that in Nigeria, where percentage of your savings are insured by the Federal Reserves, and if anything happens, you can go back. I think in the US you can get right up to 250,000 US dollar of your savings. But for us here, we haven't gotten to that level. But I think what we have so far with the capital contributions and the solidarity contributions, which go to your umbrella organization, it's a good start. And as the industry evolves and we build more and we create more value for customers, these things are going to fall into place. Yeah. So, like you said, one thing leads to another. Continuous development and innovation is just going to push for some of these kinds of things to come up. And that's the lovely thing about all of this because we want to influence these kind of things because that's the whole point of financial security. That's the whole point of helping people build financial resilience. And if we can build a company that um, pushes the government, the regulator, or even the population to be more secure with the way their funds are managed, either by themselves or by businesses that they work with, or banks or financial institutions that they deal with. If we could create stuff that would lead to that, then yeah, it gives us goosebumps. We're doing
Right.
something.
Amazing. Amazing. I think if there's anything somebody should pick from here, it's one thing leads to another. That's like the team message that's just running
It's
through
like
their
what?
head. As if there's something anyone should pick from this, at least, even if they don't want to remember anything, they have to remember the line, one thing leads to another. That's like a theme all through
Exactly.
this. So
I
very
mean, you
important.
said it on video. You're the man.
Let's transition a bit outside of business. Well, not outside of business, but outside of Nkwa. Talk to me about your money mindset. What does it look like for you?
I want to have like 55 private jets to build scripts. Ah, Big Babaji. Shout out to Big Babaji. But yeah, honestly, I never want to be in a situation where money influences my decision making. So I want to be in a situation where I'm able to go after anything that I want in this life, and money is never an obstacle. Like money is never something that would say because you don't have this, you're not going to be able to do that. And I really hope that every other Cameroonian, every other human being gets to that. Like financial freedom is it's like it's like um it's like Jesus verse in You Got the Keys. Like um if until you have your own, then you're not free, something like that. But you need to be in a situation where money doesn't dictate you, and it's the reason why we face a lot of the kinds of problems that we face in our community today, because you're starving, you lack, and anything can just happen to you. You don't control your life. You cannot wake up and say you want to be a model, you want to be a musician, you want to be a very good F1 racer, you want to send a rocket to space. Like if you have those kind of dreams here, that you're looked upon like crazy. Like what people worry about here is having the next plate of food in front of you, but that's not life. These are the way they are. You want people to a situation where they are able to go after the things that they want in this life. And in order to pursue those things, you don't be an issue for you. Yeah, that's why for us, helping Cameroonians build financial resilience, it's really our number one priority, and that's what I look for my life in regards to finance.
So the idea around saving is not for you to save large sums of money. The idea around saving always starts with the discipline. So I got my junior sister enrolled into graphic design classes a couple of years back. So when she did, I said to her, I said, here's what we're going to do. Every money you make, I want us to document it down. When we make your first 500,000, we're going to know that we've made your first 500,000. And interestingly, what I also want you to do is that every time you make some amount of money, I want you to save X and Y from this. I don't care how much it is, but I want you to build. What I'm asking you to build more is around the discipline. So if I make 1,000 francs, just being disciplined to say, I'm going to put 25 francs away. I'm going to put 100 francs away. And however, the thing I realized, even with her and even with myself on my own journey and my own money relationship, is that when she started making 1,000 francs and learned how to save 100 francs, at some point she would come and save 300 without me asking her to up the amount she saved. But she had just been saving constantly 100. Yes, she had just been saving constantly 100, 100, 100. And at some point, like, okay, now you're saving this. Oh, I need a phone. Okay, good. How much do you have in your savings? How much do you have here? And she'll say, oh, I have X. Okay, let's take out this 2%. Don't worry, I'll add the rest on it. Then go and buy. Do you now see that you've bought a phone for yourself? And then she feels really good. Oh, I've worked my money. I've bought a phone for myself. Moral of the story is that a lot of people, when you talk about savings, a lot of people think about it as, I need to wait when I have that big check, then I just cut half and then I save. And it would never happen because problems will always arise. You always have something to do with money. But when you choose to decide, and I wanted to pick your brain a bit even on it, what does it look like? Maybe with the people you work with, maybe with the people you coach or the people you advise on how they should manage their money. Is it like, hey, if you make money, put aside 2%, put aside 5%? What does it look like? I wanted you to talk about from your perspective, you who is like in the field with people.
I think you mentioned a very interesting point, which I want to amplify on before I get into your question, which is the aspect of the fact that it's not, you shouldn't be waiting for that big check before you try to save. And there's this thing, we often have the misconception that savings is an activity that you do only when you have a lot of money onto the sum that is throwing. Then is that one that is throwing down that you should take and save.
Yeah.
But that's not the truth. You see your story, how you painted where your sister has been saving 300 or something, and then you say, hey, you need a phone. Like literally that's life. Like every single thing that you're doing today, if you're using a laptop, if you need to go to school, if you need to pay up your rents, if you need to buy a phone, if you need to go on a vacation, like those are all activities that involve money. And in one way or the other, the smart thing to do is not just to wake up one day and just take some money that you recently had and then spend on that thing. The best thing to do is actually to sit down, plan for those things, and save up money towards them. You get, and it's something that we already do. It's just that when you come to someone and you say save money, we think of it more like you're trying to, you have a lot and you're saving extra, whereas it's really just an activity that you do towards things that matter. And then the second part is also the aspect that even when you don't have goals that you want to achieve, there's this very strong finance tip that I want to leave with people, which is the fact that if you're doing a job and you're getting a monthly income, it's always advised that you have at least like 4 to 6 months of your income saved up somewhere as an emergency fund. I don't think that's something that of us do. We always are like, well, this money, I'm young, this money is always going to keep coming. I'm going to keep working. I'll spend the one for this month, the next one, the one for next month is going to come. That's not a good mindset because you never know what happens tomorrow. I don't
Right.
wish this for any person, but you might step out and you get hit by a car and you break a leg and it prevents you from walking. You might have this serious emergency. Someone is calling you. This person has fallen ill. They need this amount. You might just lose your job. You need to be able to have something that you can fall back to, and it can take you at least for a given period of time for at least 4 to 6 months so that you recover. If it's that you lose your job, you know that within 4 to 6 months you can find back a new job and then we get back to that life that we live. We don't want a situation where you used to spend 200,000 a month and then you lost your job and now you have to go back to Achumbo and you cannot even live on up to 30,000 a month. It's a very
Mm.
wild. You can get depressed and even commit suicide. You don't want that. So that's why you want something always backed up somewhere. But yeah,
Yeah.
back to your
Really.
question around sorry, just
Honestly, no, we can go. I've forgotten the question that I asked, but let me just add to what you're saying. I love it. This is the whole reason why I have conversations like this, because for me, I don't want us to be tied down by a specific question. But just talking a bit about what you said is having some savings or having an emergency fund for yourself. And I always tell some of my friends, even my junior ones, I say to them, know what it takes to run your life, right? So for me,
mhm.
as a person, I sit down and I know from my little business, this is how much it takes. For example, I have a lot of software subscriptions. This is how much it takes for software subscriptions. This is how much it takes to sort out my team. This is how much it takes to do these little things in regards to my business. When it comes to my day-to-day life and just my own well-being, this is my rent, this is this. But if you wake me up in the middle of the night, I know what it takes to run my life and I know what it takes, like every single month, a ballpark idea of what I spend. And because I know that, it now helps me to go, oh, okay, if I have 1,000 francs in the bank, this 1,000 francs is going to help me for 5 months. So 1,000 francs is going to help me for this. And then even when I'm trying to scale up or when I'm trying to understand how have I grown financially this year? Okay, now I used to do 200 a month. Now, okay, I'm doing 300, but it just really helps me to understand these are the little levels of things that I'm putting in place to understand my own finance. Yeah, maybe you want to say something about that.
I mean, you said it all. It really just gives you that visibility over your money, and you're able to really just plan. I think that's the most important thing. You never want to be in a situation where you're like they call it in pidgin work chop or hand to mouth in English.
Oroto.
Like, yeah, you don't want to be in that kind of situation where you just spend as money is coming in. You want to be that person that is like very intentional about stuff. That person that is always like, this is what I want to do. This is what it's going to take to get there. And these are the actions that I'm going to start setting in place. That way, your life is always nothing is. It's true that life is life, and we are not God, and things would happen that you never know. But there's a lot of things that you can control and you can see coming. Like you know very well that it's like that. You're going to be spending 200 francs on taxi every day. So the right thing to do is to have 200 times 30 days saved up somewhere to ensure that you're always paying up that you can always pay your taxi. You know that you're going to need to pay your rent for the next 6 months. You know that you want to buy a sofa too. The right thing to do is always to plan those things and have them secured somewhere instead of living that kind of life where you're hoping that someone will wake up and give you 200 tomorrow so that you can pay and go to work. It's true that you might be a
Absolutely.
very lucky person and you'll get that help, but it's a very depressing state to be in. And
Absolutely.
yeah, we want to control our lives. This is how you control your life, by planning for your stuff.
My mom and my dad had a little thing they used to do for us at the end of the month. They'll be like, how many school days are in this month? And then we count, let's say 20 school days. And they'll go, for every school day, you have 150 francs. So for that 150 francs, you pay 100, you go, because I used to go to school, like from Wotutu to Bojongo, it's 100 francs for a bike. You pay 100
Yeah.
francs and go, you eat 50 francs, and then you trek and come back with your friends. And they'll calculate it
Yeah.
for 1 month, and they hand it to you and say, now you have your money for the end of the month, from now to the end of the
Like,
month.
it's a-
When you wake up in the morning, don't just put that your face, just start going.
yeah, that's the thing.
And then if you finish it before the end of the month, they're like, it's all on you. So I think that little disciplines really help. Sometimes you frown because we use the money. If you were good, right? Sometimes I'll be like, if I eat in the house, oh, I'm not eating in school. I'll save my money. Oh, I'll wake up at 5, prepare my things, 6 o'clock. I trek to school, trek and back. I've saved 100
That's right.
for the
I
day.
mean, it's something that is right from like childhood. I mean, that's how we got in contact with these kinds of things. But yeah,
Right. The last thing I'm going to ask you on the podcast, I think for someone who might be watching this and they go, I've listened to you talk about money, but how do you think I can build that financial discipline? What would be your words to leave that person with so that they go from here thinking, oh, now I can start to build this discipline gradually and save up to something?
honestly, there's a lot. But I think the first thing is to seek information. It's just to want to become financially disciplined. That's the first thing. And then start
Willingness.
consuming as much information as would lead you to become financially disciplined. One tip that I can give, which is really a great budgeting tip, is whenever you get any income, split it into three.
Okay.
Take maximum 50% of it, spend it on the things that you need in life, like maybe transport, food, water,
Right.
savon, rent, those kind of things. Those are your needs. And then 30% you spend on wants, like the stuff that you want for yourself. I don't know, you want these new shoes, you want these phone, or you want to buy a drink, a top drink. Yeah. And make sure that you always have at least the remainder 20% saved up somewhere. And this is principally for someone without any saving goals. So the 20% is what you're saving up in case an emergency comes up. So 50% on your needs, 30% on your wants, 20% in savings, principally for someone without saving goals. But if you have things that you want to achieve in your life, then you can adapt model and make it favor relative to the things that you want. So if there's something you're planning to do, a project, then maybe you should be reducing how much you have dedicated for your wants or your needs, and instead pushing it more towards your savings so that you can at the end of a given period of time use those savings to achieve whatever it is. But yeah, that's the very first step towards
Really good. And for
building.
someone who might be watching this and is going, but I don't make, or maybe my rent is just 60, my rent is already 60% of what I'm making. I think the whole idea of what you're trying to say is regardless of what you're making, set aside a percentage, no matter how small it is, and say, let me put this aside, because the whole goal is that the discipline is what's most important. And then the more you're growing into the process, you can now start upping the amount or whatever you're saving. Yeah.
Exactly, relative to things that, and since you mentioned salary, I think there's also this other misconception. Like I've had it, and sometimes I even still get influenced that it's always good to live below your means. Like if you're making 100K in a salary today, and averagely you spend, let's say, maybe like 80,000 of that money or 60,000 of that money to live, like to meet up with your needs and wants and all of that. It doesn't mean that tomorrow, if your salary was increased to 200,000, then you should automatically step up your expenses or your needs and
Sure.
wants too. 120,000 that you multiply by 2. Because that's the case for most of us, and that is the reason why you never find yourself progressing. Because it's almost like your needs, it's like the statement in Pigeon, that problem no the finishes. It's because we are always like trying to step up our life relative to how much you make, which is not really the best thing in the long run, because you never really are able to build that much wealth to do any serious thing in your life. I mean, if you're planning to build the house project, how would you meet up with that if you're spending everything that you're getting, or if you're always matching up? Instead, treat whatever is coming extra as that extra and keep it somewhere and say, hey, now it means that if I was planning for this thing and it was going to take me 5 years to get there, by this extra this thing I'm getting, now I'm reducing it to like 3 years. Treat it that way and you'll see how much good it's going to bring to you. First is to
The willingness,
get
yeah.
into the mindset of you want to build financial freedom, and then consume as much information. True, you consume wrong information, but the fact that you're constantly learning is going to lead you to the right thing. And yeah, mistakes is part of the process, so don't be afraid to make them.
Absolutely. Very, very important. And yeah, when just what you said about making money, when you start making money, the tendency for us is to, oh, now I've made more money. How do I spend this or this? And my number one thing for me is when I make money, I go, what do I need to do to make myself more efficient and to make sure that this machine that I've built keeps running smoothly? When I was in Boya, I knew that I'll spend more time. If I usually shave at Malingo, I knew that I'd spend more time shaving my hair. I went and got a barber. He was averagely good, but he was not the best. So I went and got him for money, and I said, how much will it cost you if you always come and shave me at home? And he said to me, 1,000 plus you can pay my transport 200. I'm like, cool, come and shave me at home 1,2. Because I knew that if I go to my shave at Malingo, I'll spend about 2-3 hours every single time there. And then for me, that's valuable time that I'm wasting that I should have been putting into building something. And for me, when I think about it, that's how I will start by elevating my life. The things around me that are either chopping my time or that can make me more productive. I had a friend, a lady like that. I knew that every time if I did shopping for 20,000, I think that was 2018 or so, I live alone. I do my small shopping, 20,000-30,000 is okay. I'll call my friend. I had 4,000 to eat. She can do my shopping in the market. Buy me all the small tomato and the rest. Come and keep in my house. I've just added 4,000. But for me, it's like, that's how I want to spend my money and optimize my life, not necessarily just upgrading everything at the same time. So really, really important. I can't thank you enough for this conversation. I think it's just like, yeah.
By the way, I think I should point out that the presence of savings in your life doesn't mean that you shouldn't spoil yourself. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't go outside and drink your 1 or 2 bottles of beer, or you shouldn't buy a nice shoe for yourself, or go on vacation, or like spoil yourself. Totally not what we mean. In fact, I advise that you do those things. You need to treat yourself, because you have feelings. You're a human being. At some point in time, things will away. So
find the balance.
when you get, like, spoil yourself as well, but don't spoil to the extent that it actually spoils you. You get, like, don't let it not lead to something which doesn't really help you. You always want to balance up things. You always want to make sure that, like for me, when I get my salary at the end of the month, I always make sure that I probably go to one place and I get like a big plate of food, or perhaps some bottles of beer, and I'm like, okay, I don't taste the money now, so I fit take the other one now, so I go keep them. I know say no, I be sure that money small. Yeah, you want to do stuff like this because you don't want a feeling to know like you're feeling like you're a slave to your money,
You're
like
wasted.
you're only just like you just did like they saying that me you can't work na jackass money, something of that sort. Nah, it's your money, it's for you, but you want to be smart. You're saving for a reason, but you also don't just want to starve yourself and deprive yourself from like certain things because there's this stuff that you just so much want to achieve. Yeah, so it's always good to strike that balance and really think long term. I just thought I'd say that so that we don't live here with the mindset that any small
Just carry
thing,
everything. Yeah.
like just carry everything and this thing. Now,
Very important. Yeah. Reward yourself for those who are watching this. Mr. Akwo, the last question would always ask every guest on the podcast is, when all is said and done, how do you want to be remembered as Mr. Akwo?
honestly, I don't think about that because when I'm no longer there, then I don't even know what you remember. So it doesn't really matter. But I would like that people are able to be happy in life. I'd like that people are able to pursue their dreams in life. And I would like if someone can help me do these things. So I'm doing my best to be able to help someone be able to do these things. So, I don't know if it makes any sense, but I think that's the best that can come out of my
You're
mouth.
basically the person you wished was there for you. You are that same person to others. So yeah.
I want to be that person. If maybe I'm not that person today, but I want to be that person today and tomorrow. And I hope that other people can be that way too, because I feel like that's what really just gets us to whatever we want in this life.
Absolutely. Mr. Akwo, I want to thank you very much for a very insightful conversation. Sometimes you have conversations like this and you feel that it's you sharing yourself, but at the end of the day, I feel like even before the audience benefits from it, I have had to refill myself from this. So thank you very much for sharing generously. I really do appreciate you coming on the podcast as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was telling my guy here that this stuff, I'm not going to be able to do it for more than 30 minutes or stuff, but this is how much, like 1 hour really. I was still going, and I like the discussion because I'm also learning a lot from you, and I'm getting inspired from your story and your experiences in life. And I mean, we should do this more often, and it helps. It very much helps because you're able to connect with other minds, and you're able to get motivated to keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I love that you keep doing what you're doing. Very laudable initiative, and just wishing you and myself the best in our endeavors in life. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
If you just enjoyed this episode, the chances are that you're going to enjoy other amazing episodes that we've recorded. So you can check that out somewhere around this video. Before you go, please make sure you check our 3 boxes. First things first, please make sure to hit the subscribe or the follow button down below, because the more we grow, the bigger guests we can approach on this platform and the more value we can bring to you here on the podcast. Second, a lot of friends always reach out to me and say something like, "Hey, Arrey, I really did enjoy this particular segment of this episode." Pick up your phone and send this to a friend and say, "Hey, check this out between 10 to 15 minutes. There's something very important I'd love you to see." Number 3, please make sure to check out the links in the description for very helpful resources. You're going to find the link to join the Smart Club, which is my private mentorship club for friends who want to learn and master a high-income digital marketing skill. Whether your goal is to build your personal brand, become a freelancer, or get a job in digital marketing, the Smart Club is going to be the right place for you. So before you go, please make sure to tick those 3 boxes. Like I always say, my friends, cheers to many more years of shamelessly living and crazily excelling in passion and purpose. And I'll speak to you in the next episode.